What kind of pushback have you seen directed at the Times, and what is your kind of sense of how this story is going to unfold?
I think what it has done, first and foremost, is sort of reignited the debate over the war strategy in Afghanistan. And sort of shockingly, we're almost in August, and there really has not been all that much discussion about the war since the president announced his surge strategy late last year. So it's going to reopen this debate, and it's happening this week, this afternoon on Capitol Hill, as the House votes on this war funding bill.
Well, now we're going to be joined right now by Congressman Jim Marshall. Congressman Marshall, you're a member, obviously, of the House Armed Services Committee. Thanks for being here with us.
Sure.
Did you hear what Jeff and I were just talking about, the impact that the release of these documents might have on the war effort? What's your sense of that?
Well, I did hear what you were saying, and I haven't read the documents, obviously. I've read all of the articles, including the New York Times articles. I guess I haven't read the British and the German articles, but the articles that have come up here in the United States. And, you know, somebody like me who's been following this in great detail for years, nothing new is apparently the product of this revelation. And as far as the debate is concerned that Jeff was just mentioning, we are going to have a debate today, but that's something that's been scheduled for some time. It's not unique, and it's not something that's been prompted by this disclosure. Now, certainly, some of the information that's been disclosed will be referenced in this debate. Hopefully, what's been disclosed isn't really going to change our strategy, our resolve, those sorts of things, but we'll just have to see.
But Congressman, as you know, the debate this afternoon is actually going to be cut short. Your leaders in your party have scheduled only a brief debate on this. How big of a political issue is this going into the midterm elections? As you know, some members of the Democratic caucus are strongly opposed to this strategy.
I think the main issue this November is going to be the economy, health care, cap and trade, issues like that. I don't think the main issue is going to be the effort in Afghanistan. People are very concerned about that. They think it's a tough go, and rightly so. But I think what they've done is put that on a back burner to the more domestic issues that are just, you know, daily in the press. And I don't think the debate today or the WikiLeaks materials or the coverage of the WikiLeaks materials is going to change that very much right away.
Well, you know, one thing, Congressman, when the story first came out, you know, there was this kind of initial, wow, this is like the Pentagon Papers, this is going to really change the discourse. But it sounds like you're saying, we, and I think a lot of people have said, we knew all of this. This is really nothing new. It's more details. You know, there's gambling in the casino. You know, we're not surprised.
Right.
But you know, going beyond that, I mean, is it more damaging that this kind of stuff now has an outlet? Is it the leak that concerns you the most? Or is it just that it's going to kind of keep this issue now percolating with, are you expecting backlash from the left?
You know, just like the McChrystal reporting, I'm afraid what you'll see is a bit of a clampdown, a reluctance by the military to freely interact with the press. Same is true with regard to these kind of tactical reports that are floating around. It's going to be there probably will be an impact on exactly how the Army and our armed forces generally handle information like this. What you want to see at a tactical level is absolute free flow of information among the parties that need to have that information in order to make good decisions. And so to the extent that this slows that, it's not good. We need to rethink how we classify things. I think the American people, you know, look at the summaries of the WikiLeaks and they kind of go, well, shoot, that sounds like stuff we've already heard. Why is it classified? And we're rethinking classification as we speak, actually.
But wait, so you're suggesting that much of this, unlike, say, Senator McCain, who is saying this is a grave threat to national security, you're saying that, you know, what really is happening is that this should just be more publicly available?
No, I'm saying that we need to rethink how we go about classifying information. You know, the easiest thing to do with regard to information generated in a military operation or in other operations in the government that are important to national security is to simply keep that information secret. And then at some point, the information becomes public, and the public wonders why we kept it secret. That's what I'm getting at here. I don't think, from what I've gathered from the reports, I haven't actually seen the 91 some odd thousand documents themselves, but when I've gathered from the reports, there's no bombshell here. This isn't Abu Ghraib. It's not the Pentagon Papers. And it's the kind of information that has been getting out to the public. The WikiLeaks revelation, I guess, makes the public feel like there's some drama here that really I don't think the public should be feeling. And transparency is something that's very important to the military. We need to work on it. The public should not be surprised, basically, by anything I've read that's come out of this WikiLeaks thing, except for the fact that there's been this big leak.
All right.
All right, Congressman, do you believe that this gives any information to answer the question, is the United States winning the war in Afghanistan?
I don't think this affects that one way or the other. It's all, again, the summaries that I have seen, all of this information is information that was already out there, already public. People knew it. In weighing the effort in Afghanistan, this information was already on the table. And so I don't think it's going to have that kind of impact. I think this will pass. It is a grave problem that classified information is leaked. Individuals within the government having access to classified information are not free to decide whether or not revelation of this information will be harmful or not. I think we need to track down whoever did this. We need to prosecute them, put them in jail for a very long time, just as an example to others. That you're not free to release this stuff. But on balance, given the reports we've seen so far, I don't think a great deal of harm has been done by this release. Not to say that it wasn't absolutely wrong and there shouldn't be jail time. I'm just saying, fortunately, at least based on the summaries I've seen so far, this is not news.
So if I could just ask you one final question, Congressman. You don't think the White House, it sounds to me, should be trying to stop the additional release of, say, another 15 or 20,000 pages of documents?
Yes, they should be trying to stop the release of the additional 15,000 pages of documents. I haven't seen those documents, just like I haven't seen the others, but obviously they've been held back because people are concerned that there may be sensitive information being released that could be harmful to individuals, to the effort, etc. And I don't think it's a good idea that that be released. I think that should be withheld, and I think it's absolutely appropriate for the White House to try and keep it from being released.
But what do you think the White House should do? I mean, if it doesn't, it can argue it, but then what if the publications say we're going to go forward anyway? How far should the White House take that?
Well, I don't know whether the White House knows what this is, but if the White House has legal basis to do so, it ought to seek an injunction to ban the release. I don't know what the legal basis would be, but it ought to move forward with what tools it has legally available to it to keep these additional documents from being released. That's not a decision that should be being made by the press, certainly shouldn't be being made by individuals who have access to confidential information. Those individuals who release confidential information should be prosecuted, should be put in jail for an awfully long time. And the White House should do what it can, the military should do what it can within the bounds of the law to try and keep this stuff from going public. It's been classified. Eventually it will be unclassified and available, but not now.
All right. Well, Congressman, thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate it.
Sure.
Jeff, it sounds like, I thought his last comments on whether or not the administration wants to really go to war with releasing these additional documents, that's just going to keep this story on the front burner when they want to talk about anything other than Afghanistan.
No question. And again, it gets to the root cause of concern here that a lot of voters and some liberal Democrats and some fiscal conservatives are both share one concern here about that this war has been too expensive and is it being fought in the right place now. So we can have the debate over the leaks and things, but this is going to sort of bring to the fore another debate about the strategy. Is it right or wrong? And that's something that will be going forward for the next 3 months.